Now that you're a master of direct objects, it's time to learn about indirect objects. Sentences with direct objects may also have another kind of complement called an indirect object. An indirect object is found only in a sentence that has a direct object. An indirect object is a noun or a pronoun that comes after an action verb and before a direct object. It names the person or thing that something is given to or done for. Always look for the direct object first in a sentence. Well, actually, you should look for the verb first. So let's do that. Lucy told him the news. What's the verb? Very good. Now, what questions do you ask to figure out the direct object? Told what? Told who? Told what? The news. So you know that news is the direct object. To whom was the news told? To him. An indirect object answers the question to or for whom, or to or for what. So here, looking at the example again, Lucy told him the news. Told what? The news, which is the direct object. To whom? To him. Let's look at another example. Find the verb in the sentence. I gave each paper a number. All right, now find the direct object. Gave what? Gave a number. To what? Gave a number to what? As I'm sure you figured out, paper is the indirect object of the previous example. Most sentences with indirect objects will follow the same pattern. Subject first, action verb second. Next, the indirect object follows, and finally, the direct object. An indirect object will almost always come between the verb and the direct object. Between the verb and the direct object. Like direct objects, indirect objects can be compound. The verb can be followed by two or more indirect objects. Let's try this example. He gave his lizard and turtle their food. He is the subject. What's the verb? Gave what? So food is the direct object. To whom? Turtle and lizard are both indirect objects. Some things to remember. You will never have an indirect object unless there is a direct object. Don't confuse indirect objects with objects of a preposition. Let's look at these two sentences. Which of them has an indirect object? I gave Tina the letter. I gave the letter to Tina. Gave is our verb. Gave what? The letter. To whom? Tina. This sentence has an indirect object. The next sentence has an object of the preposition. Gave what? The letter. Note the use of to, which is a preposition. This time, Tina is the object of the preposition, not to be confused with an indirect object, which always comes before the direct object. More on that. While an indirect object and preposition aren't the same thing, one can help you discover the other. You can find an indirect object by rewording a sentence to include the word to or for. The indirect object in the original sentence will appear as the object of to or for in the reworded sentence, as in the previous example. Let's try these examples. We gave Ava a surprise for her birthday. Okay, so first we need to find the verb. Now we're looking for the direct object. Gave what? A surprise. To whom did we give a surprise? To Ava. And how about the next one? We gave Elizabeth a picture. Gave is our verb. Gave what? Now where's our indirect object? What questions do you ask? To whom? The picture was given to Elizabeth, which is our indirect object. The last one's a little tricky, so read it carefully. Sometimes when the stuffed animal is with the girl, people give her frightened looks. What's our verb? Okay. What's the direct object? Give what? To whom? Keep practicing in your workbook. Don't worry if you feel a little confused. The main thing to remember is that you need to look for the verb first, then the direct object, and finally the indirect object. Remember that the indirect object usually comes before the direct object. Good luck!